Good evening, everyone. My name is Marty Connell from Rolling Dice and Taking Names, and I want to do a little live thing here on YouTube. And I never do anything live, but I had just finished up recording my latest Marty's Musings, and I was wanting to do a preview of some games coming out from Renegade Games. And I thought, well, I'll shoot a video and do all the editing and everything. And then I realized I leave for Gen Con in just 1.5 days, and I feel like may not have time to do that, so I thought, screw it, I'll do it live, and probably fell miserably at this. But here we go. So I wanted to do a preview of some games from Renegade Games because they've got a insane amount of stuff coming out this week at Gen Con, and they sent us some early looks at these games, so I was wanting to share them with you so you'll know whether maybe this is one of the booths you want to rush to if you're going to Gen Con. Now, the first is an expansion to a game that came out last year at Gen Con that we were very thrilled to be one of the first ones to get to play and do a preview for it, and that's Clank In Space. And they have an expansion coming out called, I said Clank In Space. Clank. See, this is why I don't do this live. I would have edited that right out. Clank In Space Apocalypse. Now, what they add in this game, and anytime I get an expansion, I always wonder what's the new mechanic or anything that's being added to this game. They've had other expansions with Clank. Would this be the first one in space? I was very curious to see what it's going to do. What they've done is probably one of the coolest things I think they've done with any Clank expansion so far. They have added a mechanism called schemes. These are scheme cards that will come out during the beginning of the game. Typically when you play Clank, if you've ever played, whenever you have to go into the bag and pull cubes out, the black cubes that come out typically do nothing. Everybody's actually relieved to see a black cube. It's like, good, it's not going to hurt me in any way. Not so much anymore. See, with the scheme cards, when you pull out black cubes, they're actually going to start filling in these lines on the scheme card itself. And with each line that's filled up, something bad typically happens. Like, for the example, this one is remove all master keys from the market. And there's 3 different levels of schemes, 1, 2, and 3. And on the third one's bad. All cards cost 1 additional credit. So black cubes on here is not good, but that doesn't mean that they've given you a way to get rid of black cubes, because on the side here, I can spend a boot in order to remove one of those black cubes. Now, black cubes do something. Black cubes go in here, you can move black cubes and put them in front of you, and they count as victory points at the end of the game. But wait, there is more, because those black cubes can be used on some of the cards. There's some cards that were introduced in this expansion that actually have spend black cubes as a resource. So then you can use those to power up those cards, or just collect them at the end for victory points. Now, there's a handful of these scheme cards, so you can use a different one every time that you play, and you could just take the expansion cards and put them into the deck. They also introduce a couple new tiles that you can throw in there where the cubes will be used there. So if you play Clank in Space, I highly recommend checking this out, just because now the black cubes actually do something. Next is a game that I heard about that they teased earlier in this year, and I was really excited about it strictly because of the theme. It's called, I should have taken the plastic off this, so sorry about the glare, Wendake. And this is I don't even know how the game plays or anything. I was just thrilled with a game that had a Native American theme to it. I don't see a lot of those. I thought the art looked great. And I know that the way the game plays has some unique mechanics in it, because I've talked to other people that's played this game. So I was finally thrilled to get this. I haven't had a chance to play it because it just came in. Another reason why I'm doing this preview, because I haven't had a chance to play any of these yet. But I at least wanted to show them to people in case they might be interested in seeing them if they are at Gen Con. So this is Wendake. Just theme alone, I was very interested in this. Another game they've been talking about a lot recently is, I'm going to pronounce this wrong, Gunkimono. Please don't hold that against me if that's incorrect. They've been talking about this game for a while too. You can find out more about this game and how it plays on renegadegames.com website. And this was another hot game that people have been very excited and jazzed about. So that's 3 games, that's big games that's going to be coming out at Gen Con. Remember last year when Clank In Space came out, along with Ex Libris, if you were at Gen Con, there was a long line wrapped around Renegade's booth. The people at Gen Con were getting upset because people were blocking lanes and aisles. but people wanted to go and grab these games. And I think these are three games, three distinctly different games with three different themes that you might be interested in. But wait, there's more, because they have not stopped with board games. Yes, Renegade Games has been focusing mainly on board games, but they have gotten into role-playing games. And if you know that, if you follow the Kickstarter, they just recently had an RPG for Overlight, which I'll be talking about in a second. They've also started partnering with Hunter's Press, who is ran by Ivan Van Norman, who's a friend of ours, who's a Geek and Sundry. You may see him doing some tabletop teachings and how to play games, and he came into Charlotte earlier this year and I had a chance to meet with him. He was telling me about how he was so excited to work with Scott and the crew over at Renegade Games with some of the RPGs that he has done. Now they're going to be selling some of the stuff through them. But this first one here is actually not his, but I was just kind of giving, yeah, it is. I'm so sorry. See, again, I would have edited that part out if this wasn't live. This is from Hunter's Press, and this actually came out earlier this year, so it's not necessarily a Gen Con release, but I just want to show it anyway. Kids on Bikes. This is a deluxe edition of Kids on Bikes, and this is an RPG based on, well, basically what it says. Kids on Bikes are going on different adventures, and they have different narratives and different settings for you to be able to play through the RPG. I think the beauty of this game is if you have kids, and you want to get kids into RPGs, and you're worried about some of the content of RPGs, whether it be theme or the art, anything like that, and just like you feel like it may be too mature, this is a really great way to start. It's something that anybody can relate with. Shoot, even adults. It's not just for kids, but I really do think it's a great way for kids to be able to get in role-playing games. So if this isn't your speed, and it's a little too, I don't know, you want something a little bit more mature, well, they got you taken care of for that too, because also is Outbreak Undead, which is also from Hunter's Press. Now, pretty much you can guess the theme just by the cover of the book. This is a zombie apocalypse game, and I was looking through this. The mechanics of this game are really, really tight. I have played the FFG game, Into the World series. See, again, I would have edited this part out. And I've played the zombie apocalypse game, and it's a good system. It's a lighter system, but this has, with the thickness of the book, there's more built into this system. There's more in the character development. There's a lot of different traits and options and actions that will be available that you can play. With Halloween around the corner, this might be a good option. Again, more of a mature book, so this is probably not for the kiddos. But again, you like the theme. This is a great way to get into that type of setting or world setting and play that way. And by the way, this is plays up to 2 to 6 players. Renegade Games and Hunter's Press. Just want to verify that it was also from them. Now the next one I just mentioned earlier, and that was the one that was just successfully kickstarted, Overlight. If you have any interest at all in RPGs, if you have any interest in RPG books, just because of the way they look and read and the art, you got to pick this up. I was so impressed with how they've built a whole new universe. It's not really sci-fi. It's not really fantasy. It's kind of a mixture. It doesn't have your typical elves and dwarves. It has all these brand new races that you've never heard of. So it doesn't fall into that typical, okay, is it fantasy or sci-fi? You know, am I going to be a wizard with magic, or am I going to be like a marine shooting guns? No, it's something totally different from that. So if you're looking to get out of the typical D&D type theme, or Pathfinder, or 40K or Star Wars, I highly recommend this to be able to look in this. Again, the art. The art is simply stunning and amazing. And one thing I noticed about this too, and if anybody knows how I get on people about small fonts, this is pretty large fonts in this book too, so it's very easy to read, it's easy to follow, it's colorful. So this is going to be coming out too. The big old thick book right there. So I think that's really neat that Renegade is getting to the RPG business, and they've gotten 3 very different ones with Kids on Bikes. Outbreak, Undead, and then this Overlight book. So if you have interest in any of those or the board games that I showed earlier and you're at Gen Con, you'll probably want to make Renegade one of the first stops on your list. If you're not going to Gen Con, then start looking for these in your local store and your favorite online store. So thanks for tuning in, and please, if you have any questions or anything about any of these, I'll try to answer the best that I can with the knowledge that I have. And if I can't, if I don't know the answer myself, I know who to reach out to get the answer. So again, thanks for watching this live preview, and if you're at Gen Con, I hope to see you there. See you guys.